Oh, careful, bro, careful. There's a microphone. Yep. So let's talk about flat Earth theory.
Gravity's never been proved.
What?
It's a theory. Gravity's a theory. Never been proved. They brought that in so people would believe you're at the bottom of a spinning ball. Density and buoyancy was adequate enough.
Content over everything.
Molecules of the air, anything lighter than the molecules of air will rise. Anything heavier than the molecules of air will go down. Density and buoyancy.
Okay. So you believe in the density and buoyancy of Earth as a flat, like a pancake, right? That's what you believe in. But
Well, it's certainly not a spinning ball.
okay,
We can't find curvature.
Fair enough. You believe not a ball, but a pancake. Fair enough. Let's imagine that Earth is a pancake. Don't you think that the density and buoyancy of the Earth would bend it together? Because you know the density and buoyancy on the sides would be higher than on the top and the bottom. Because it's a pancake and the density pulls it together.
Show me an experiment with that happening.
Show
I
me an
can't believe
experiment.
it.
No, but
No, it's up to you.
No, bro.
You're on a
But that's a
spinning ball.
fallacy, that's a
You've got to give me proof you're on a spinning ball. It ain't up to me. It's up to you to prove you're on a spinning ball.
It's up to you to prove to everybody that you are not
It's
in
in
a
the
spinning
claimer.
ball.
You
Because
claim-
everybody tells you that we are. Everybody gives you evidence that we are. And I will give you many different evidences that we are. But you keep saying that you're not. You are the ones, you and the other guy, who need to give some proof. We need to give some proof that you are not on the ball.
A gyroscope
on the ball.
is used in an aeroplane. A gyroscope can only work on a flat plane. A spirit level can only work on a flat plane. A periscope on a boat, submarine can only work on a flat plane. A sundial can only work on a flat plane. A moon dial can only work on a flat plane. A sextant can only work on a flat plane.
Okay, tell me something. How do we have different phases of the moon? How do we have the Earth's shadow reflected on the moon? How does that work?
That is, it's suspicious what goes on with it.
Suspicious.
All I'm saying is, they tell us, NASA tell us that the moon is lit up off the sun. Well, you can look up in daytime when the moon is only 3/4 lit up. It should be fully lit up.
Why?
Because they tell us that the sun lights the moon up, but it's got
The
its
sun
own
doesn't light
light.
the moon up. The sun.
The sun's got it. The moon's got
No,
its
it's
own
not
light.
literally lighting the moon up in fire. It's just that the sun light, falls on the moon. But look, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
if
talking
you-
about the
no,
shadow
going back
of
to the
Earth
moon,
on the moon.
If you look for the temperature in the moonlight at night, measure the temperature in its direct moonlight, and in the shade, there's a temperature difference. The moon has got its own light source.
No, but tell me. You imagine Earth as a pancake, right? You imagine the sun as a sphere and the moon as a sphere. If the sun and the moon exist above the pancake, how is it that we can see Earth's shadow on the moon? How does that work?
Do you know there's not one real photo of the Earth? Show me a photo.
Bro, you don't need a photo. You just need to look at the moon, and it has a shadow. It has different cycles. The full moon, the crescent moon, blah blah blah, all that stuff. It has different cycles. Explain to me how that works. If the moon and the sun, are just moving on top of a pancake.
They tell us that we're spinning 1,000 miles around the equator, 66,000 miles around the sun, 500,000 miles around the galaxy, millions of miles around the universe every day. So why
You're saying some random
is
numbers.
Polaris, the North Star, every night in the same place?
You're just saying random numbers. You're not explaining what I'm asking you. I'm asking you to tell me, how do we see the shadow of Earth on the moon? How does that work? Just answer me this one question. Come on, man.
But we don't know everything. But it's up to you to tell us about the ball, why you believe you're on a ball. You've got to give me your reasons you're on a ball.
Okay, one of the reasons. Because we can see the shadow of Earth on the moon at night. The sun is on this side, the Earth is in the middle, the moon is on the other side. When we look at the moon, we see Earth's shadow, and it depends on the cycles of the moon. If we'll see a full moon, if we'll see a half moon, we'll see a crescent moon, blah blah blah.
The eclipses are suspicious because
And
many
it will
times...
always be a spherical shadow. It will always be a circular shadow. The only object that can cast invariably a circular shadow is a sphere. Because a plane, when you go underneath, you know, let's imagine that the sun goes underneath the pancake, right? I heard some flat earth theorists using that explanation. Okay, it goes underneath. Fine. If the Earth is a circular pancake, then we can see a perfectly circular shape, right? But as the sun, as the sun moves around the Earth and it illuminates the moon in a different angle, we will no longer see a circle. We will see a slightly more, a slightly straighter circle. The shape of it will change because, according to you, the Earth is not a sphere, and only a sphere can invariably cast a circular shadow on the moon. But we do see, look, we don't need microscopes, telescopes, you don't need any kind of equipment to see that shadow. And also, we don't need any equipment to see that in different parts of the Earth, at the same day, we see different star constellations. Sorry, I apologize. Different star constellations. We can't see all the stars at the same time. Plus, at different, different sides of the Earth, there's day on one side, there's not at the other side. Now, you tell me that it's because the sun is far away from us. The sun is closer to us, but it's further away from, for example, the Japanese people, right? Because at this time, it's probably, I don't know if it's night in Japan now, but let's say it is night.
Well,
let's say it is.
Well,
You're saying that the sun is shining on top.
You know when it's daytime in America, it's nighttime in China.
Okay.
That shouldn't be the case, but it is. When it's daytime
Why
in
is it
America,
then?
it shouldn't be. You look at the ball, where China is in America.
If the Earth is a sphere, then it should be the case because the sun illuminates one side of the sphere and the other side is in darkness. You know what I mean? That's how it works in a spherical Earth.
Not where those two countries are on the ball.
What?
No, it shouldn't be the case.
Yes, it should. It shouldn't be the case with a flat Earth. With a flat Earth, if the sun is a sphere, as you're saying it is, we should be able to see the sun
we don't know if the sun is a sphere.
Sorry?
We don't know if the moon. The moon is only
That's what
two-dimensional.
flat Earth theorists believe. They believe that the sun and the moon are spheres that are circling around the Earth.
I don't believe that the sun is 93 million miles away.
Okay, but you do believe it's a sphere.
No. No.
Then you're not a flat Earth theorist,
We
bro.
don't know. No.
How is the sun? Is the sun a pancake like Earth?
But it's like the moon. It's only two-dimensional. We've never seen the
Is
back
the
of the moon.
sun a pancake?
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Okay. What's the shape of the sun?
We know it's round, but it might not be a sphere.
Well, if it's round, it's a sphere.
No.
Yeah, that's what round means.
Round, it's not spherical.
No, look. I think you're confusing. This is a game of
round doesn't mean it's
semantics now.
spherical. Round.
It's a game of semantics because circular doesn't mean it's a sphere. Now, round means it's a sphere. Round and spherical are synonyms. They're the same. Round and spherical. You know what I mean? Now, circular doesn't mean it's a sphere. It might be just a circle on paper. You know what I mean? That's why you think that the Earth is a circular pancake, a circular, flat, but the sun is a sphere. Is that what you believe, or is that not what you believe?
Well, I know for certain it's not a spinning ball. I know that for a fact.
What, the sun is not a spinning ball?
The Earth.
The Earth is not a spinning ball. What is the sun then?
I don't know. But
What is the moon?
the moon is...
Is it a spinning ball?
It's two-dimensional. We've never seen the back of the moon. Never seen beyond the back of the moon. So we don't know.
We've never seen the back of the moon.
No.
Wow.
No one's ever seen the back of the moon. It's two-dimensional.
Well, so you believe Earth is a pancake, Moon is a pancake, and the Sun is a pancake, and they're I won't call them a pancake because I don't want to ridicule this unnecessarily. But look, let's say they're all flat, right? The Sun, the Moon, and the Earth are flat, and those flats are spinning around each other, right? The Moon and the Sun are spinning around Earth. It just bewilders me. How can you even make that function in your head?
What bewilders me, how can water, trillions of tons of water, stick to a spinning ball?
Okay.
It's impossible.
Okay, bro. Let's forget about gravity. Let's say gravity does not exist. Let's imagine it does not exist for a moment. You believe that density is why when I jump, I come
Like
back
ball
down
gravity.
because the air is less dense than I am, right?
The ball gravity into
Is that what you believe? Come here, bro. Come here. Come here, guys. I can talk to all of you at once. You believe that I am denser than the air around me, right? That's why when I jump up, I come down.
Yeah,
Simple.
common sense.
Okay. So, if that's the case, then if the Earth happened to be round, the density of the water would wrap the water around Earth, and it wouldn't go down
you got
because
an
the density of the
experiment
water
to that? Can you show
would
us an
call
experiment
the
to that?
water together. The density of the Earth.
That's
What?
a belief. Can you show us an experiment?
That's your belief.
An
Your
experiment.
belief is in density. Your belief is in density, right?
We can
the denser
demonstrate-
things.
It's not so much a belief because anyone can demonstrate.
You can
If I had a helium balloon right now
Yes.
and I let go of
Yeah.
it would rise, right? Because helium is less dense than air, right? Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Yes.
But if I drop this camera, if I drop something heavy, or sorry, more dense than air, it will fall, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I had, let's say, it's our favorite troll. I love this guy. He always goes, I think Fat is a psyop. He always says it every week. So if we had, let's say, for example, a bucket of water right next to me, I let go of, I've got two equal objects, right? And I drop them. The one that goes through the water will slow down. Will it not, compared to the one that is dropping in free fall air, right?
I don't believe it on a spinning board. I don't believe
Okay.
Two of the same objects. I drop one into a bucket of water, and the other one just lands onto the floor.
Yeah, because the water is a liquid, and thus it's denser than the air, and thus it slows down the. I will say the work of gravity, but I guess you guys wouldn't believe in that.
No, I don't have belief systems.
Okay,
like
but look,
gravity.
just listen to this. Just listen to this for a moment. I'm not talking about gravity now. Let's talk about density, because as from what I see, your definition of density is not very different from the definition of gravity I have. Now, before you interrupt me, let me just finish this. Let's imagine that the Earth really is round. Let's just suspend our disbelief.
Could you be more
Spherical.
specific?
Spherical.
Okay.
Round means spherical.
No, it could mean
No,
a dinner
we-
plate as well. A penny is round as well.
No,
so.
it. Penny's
circular.
round, the penny.
But
Circular. Circular is
even still,
it could
we
be
need-
flat.
being
Round
scientific,
needs
we
to
need
have a shape.
We need to use proper terms because if you say circle, it could
No,
mean
bro.
many
Circle.
things.
Okay, fair enough. Let's
So
not get into
spherical.
semantics. Spherical. Spherical. Let's
We're on
imagine
the
that
same
the
page.
Earth is spherical. The density of the Earth is very great as a sphere,
Right.
and thus it will pull down to it. The density of the Earth is very great, and it would make sense that it would be even greater in its center, because it's in the center of the density. That's the core of it, right?
Yep.
And it would pull back the water to its center. That means the water would wrap around the Earth.
I get all of this.
It wouldn't just fall down. It would wrap around it.
Yeah.
Guys, that's your ideology. That's your belief of density. It's not very far-fetched from gravity. It really isn't. Like all you're doing is calling gravity a different name
don't
and
believe
making
this.
a few
Horses wrapping around
distinctions.
the
The
ball.
thing is,
We
you
don't
just made a
believe-
mistake there because you said we're calling gravity a different thing. Before Isaac Newton had that apple land on his head.
That's
did
a myth,
no
by
one-
the way.
Cool, perfect with me. That's fine with me because as far as I'm concerned, someone threw it at him for being an idiot.
Okay, fair enough.
But before that whole incident happened, are you telling me no one knew why things landed to the ground? Did no one know? And then when he said, "Oh, it's gravity," everyone was like, "Oh my god, well done, that's what it was."
No.
And
You're
you found out
misunderstanding.
the water-
You are
so-
misunderstanding
so-
scientific
Time out,
reasons.
wait before you carry on. So before that, everyone knew it was density. There was no such thing as gravity. So you're saying that we're trying to call gravity a different thing. No. Density was changed to gravity. And now
Okay.
it's like this thing that you can't let go of. You can't talk about
Fair enough.
things that are dense without,
understand your point. I
without
understand
defenders
your
of the globe saying gravity. Now we're saying there is no gravity. It's never been proven.
I understand your
Just
point.
by dropping a microphone
May I
like Neil
answer?
deGrasse Tyson, hold on. Just because Neil deGrasse Tyson drops a microphone, that doesn't prove gravity. It just proves that
You
the
saw that
microphone,
video too.
If Newton's
the
apple-
microphone is heavier
Wait,
than the air.
Let me just
around
answer
it.
his
That's why
question.
it falls down.
Okay, have you ever heard of Pavlov's experiment on dogs?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have. Good man. It's a very interesting experiment. It's about Pavlov, the Russian scientist, offering food to the dogs and measuring their saliva secretion. He offers food in the beginning, but eventually he notices that they start secreting saliva before the food is offered, when they hear the steps of Pavlov, when they see him with the food, or even if they hear any sound of him approaching, right? So he decides to do something different. He locks the dogs behind the wall so they can't see him approaching and they can't hear him. And he plays I think it was kind of a bell or whatever. He tinkled a bell before he would give them food. And eventually he would ring the bell and the dogs would still secrete saliva even though they weren't offered food. He conditioned the dogs into believing that food would follow. Eventually, if he would keep ringing the bell without food coming, the effect would stop. Right? What does this prove? This proves a lot of things, and it gives a more concrete idea of how creatures learn, how creatures adapt. Now, does that mean that before Pavlov, people didn't know that if you beat a dog on the head when he tries eating your food, that he'll stop eating your food? Did people not know about that? Obviously, they didn't know about it. They knew about it, but they didn't know it as specifically and in such detail as Pavlov's experiment showed them. Same is with Newton. Newton's gravity and what he did, all that stuff that he did, it didn't show anything completely new to people, but it developed, it specified things. It told them, okay, you know that this results in this, but I'll give you all these different details and all these different, small qualities of this experiment to show you exactly how it works. You know what I mean? He didn't show anything new. He just showed exactly how it works, and he explained it very well. That's why Newton's experiment is considered by the scientists, because science doesn't actually give you something completely new. It explains to you things that you kind of already know, but you don't know exactly how they function. You know what I mean? And that's why we need science to explain how the world functions around us. Now, why did I give you the example of the density and the round Earth? Because you seem to be under the assumption that density is completely different to gravity. It's not. Your idea of density is pretty similar to the idea of gravity that Einstein, for example, or Newton were pursuing. Because look, if the Earth were round and there would be density instead of gravity, it would still pull back the water into a circle around it.
This is still assuming that we're on a sphere.
You're assuming
yes,
we're on a sphere.
I'm assuming it. But listen, just because there's density and not gravity doesn't mean that the water wouldn't wrap around the Earth. That's my whole point.
Can interrupt there.
Go ahead.
The mathematics proves, and there's so many tested theories about gravity, and they've all been ticked off by maths. Hang on. The further development on the theory was by Einstein, because Newton said that only bodies with masses, i.e. if they weigh something, they have a gravitational pull.
Yes.
Newton said no. Einstein said no.
Yeah, Einstein.
Even light would bend with gravity. Light has no mass.
All I can say is, with math,
yes,
you can do anything. A popular saying is, if you've got 2 ice creams, I can take 5 ice creams off you, and in maths you can have -3. You can do anything with maths.
You are treading on something completely different. It is what you call theoretical particle physics, where there are particles. They're assumed to be here.
It's imaginary.
It's either here or there or there.
With theoretics and physics and the theoretical and the gravity and all these things that you're saying, they're just theories. Now, I live in reality. Check this.
We're in reality.
That's the problem. You think it's the reality.
You're in belief.
Mathematics proves that gravitational force is there.
Let him just finish. Let him just finish what he has to say.
Respect me and let me speak.
There is no specific. I'm one of the speakers. I am. They are arguing for flat Earth theory, and I'm arguing against flat Earth theory.
The problem is, I don't live on a maths textbook. I live in reality. And my reality says that.
Oh no, this is Speaker's Corner, ma'am. People just come here and
they need a container.
No.
Is this correct?
I mean, I did prepare some research before I came here, because but I already wanted to speak to the flat Earth theorists before. The problem is they didn't come when I prepared the speech about it, and now I just stopped.
Needs a container. You cannot have pressure without a container. This is my reality. When I catch a plane, the pilot flies, gets the cruising altitude and levels off.
Yes.
This is my experience of when I get on a plane. And guess what happens? I fly level until we get to the country where I need to land. and then the plane comes down. There is no account for curvature. In my reality, in the reality that I live, the plane never does this. Now we're told you'll never feel it, you're never gonna feel it, but at the end of the day, the oceans, how much of Earth is meant to be ocean?
3/4 around.
70% or plus,
Something like
70
that,
plus percent.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen liquids curve and hold the shape onto a sphere?
Bro, that's
Is that-
exactly what I
hold
was
on, let
telling
me-
you.
I'm talking. Have you ever seen that, or is the experience you have experienced of liquids? Do they need a container? Yeah, like a swimming pool, a puddle. They need a container. Is what I'm saying. You have never experienced
water is-
liquids sticking to the outside of a sphere or any object, for that matter.
And the gas pressure next to vacuum movement.
No, I don't believe
The moon controlling it. The moon controls the ocean.
But before that,
Yeah, I think we'll go.
I think
We'll have to come here and do your
No, I mean,
I'm level 10 now. I'll be level experience. Yeah, experience accumulates.
you do believe in gravity and the force of it. I'm a cosmology student. Anyway, the
good that you're here. It's good that
whole
you're here.
universe is there because of gravity. Did you know that? There is dark. Have you heard of dark force and dark matter? Sorry. Yeah.
You mean black holes?
No. In the universe, we have what we call dark matter. Okay. Right. All the planets are sort of orbiting around each other. All the galaxies are orbiting around each other, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, everything
right?
is in movement.
In movement. People say that yes, that is due to the gravitational pull, which is correct. But scientists measured all the objects, all the planets, the stars, everything, and they realized that the gravitational pull that is still there, which is holding everything together, is not sufficiently given by the objects that we see. There has to be something extra, some extra gravitational pull, and that is dark matter. But they haven't found exactly what is dark matter yet. Give it time, and they will.
Yeah. You know, I researched a lot into it, and I know that Einstein's relativity theory has big differences to quantum mechanics, and that's the big problem why
Yes,
we
that
don't
is the
have
problem.
explanations, like exact explanation how the world began, what's going to be,
Absolutely.
and that's why we have the Hadron Collider,
Yes.
because it's one of the things that might correlate both the theories.
Completely agree with you, because Einstein's theory works very well in mega structures like the universe and the cosmos, etc. But it literally fails, it completely crumbles when you're looking at a very minute particle.
Einstein was wrong about quantum mechanics.
Neutrinos,
He
you
made
got
mistakes.
muons, you got pions, all these are hovering around,
Yep.
and they behave in a very, very strange way.
Sometimes we can't really even perceive the way they behave. Like I researched into it that
Yes.
when you have some kind of observation device, the electrons that were being exposed to a sensor had a different behavior to when they were not being observed. It's very strange. Something very
With particle physics, right? The behavior is unpredictable completely. You cannot even say that certain particle would be there, because it might be there, it might be even there or anywhere.
Exactly. I
You
heard
know.
the theory even
Yeah,
that when an electron is not being observed, it's at the same, it's everywhere at the same time.
Yeah.
It's it kind of relates to the Schrodinger's cat,
Yes.
to the experiment of
Yes,
the Schrodinger's cat.
I've read about that.
yeah.
Is
It's
the
pretty
cat
interesting.
in the box, or is it not in the box?
Is he alive
Is
or
it
is he
alive,
dead?
or
There's
is
a
it dead?
50%
Yeah,
chance.
I mean, that's everything that was brought up with the book. Listen, it's a book on not dark energy, dark matter. The guy is American guy. Hang on, it will come. Read it. It's only about 200 pages, and it's brilliant. Absolutely. Dan Hooper. Dan Hooper. Just Google it. Dark matter, not energy. Dark energy is actually pushing all the planets outwards, and all.
Yeah, because the vacuum of space also has a kind of attraction. But it's only, I read that it's only like 2% of the gravitational force of Earth. That's why we don't get pulled into space.
But what they found out was that the universe is actually, with the Big Bang, it started like bang, right? Fine. Take any laws of physics, any force, as it moves out and out, it will deplete. Hence, the obvious answer would be it will start to shrink
collapse
again.
together again.
It will collapse. But observations have shown that the universe is not collapsing. It's still going faster
Still
and
expanding.
faster as well. Right? Why? So they have brought in this element of dark energy. There is some kind of an energy which is pushing much further compared with the dark force which is trying to bring things in.
Yeah.
So the dark energy is now winning against the dark force. See what I mean?
It's the battle of darkness.
Yeah.
It's all going to go on YouTube.
It is.
I don't.
It's good so people can see these things. Because the problem of the flat earth theorists is a problem with education. We are being indoctrinated how to think. We're being indoctrinated what to think and not being taught how to think. We don't have the tools to get the knowledge for ourselves. We're just being told, okay, you need to believe this and that's it. We're not being explained why. That's the big problem. That's why we have things like this.
I'm a man of science, and I believe that science has got a lot of answers.
Of course.
Definitely. And this
It's
gentleman
always changing. It's changing with time. It's evolving.
This gentleman picked up the question about gravity, but gravity has been proven with mathematics, and mathematics is one very important tool. It will not go wrong. If you have any situation and which fits into the formula, any mathematical formula, and each time you bring in anything, right, and if that formula works each time, then it's proven.
Yeah, but
E equals mc squared.
I agree.
Einstein's sort of formula does work.
But look, the problem with maths is again the problem explained by quantum mechanics. It's the they sometimes call quantum mechanics the science of chaos.
Yes,
it's very very unpredictable. It cannot be predicted. And the problem with maths is that it's perfect in theory. Inside of the theoretical world, it's perfect. There is no question about it. Now the application of the theorems into the real world is where it can kind of go wrong. For example, Euclidean geometry.
Yes.
It was wrong because it couldn't be applied to the real world. That's why we have non-Euclidean geometry.
Quantum mechanics has thrown everything out of the window.
Yeah, kind of.
Sad. Go on, yeah.
For example, right now, quantum physics is sort of an unknown.
Yeah.
Yes.
That goes down to past the molecules, past the atoms.
Yes.
So that's like the fundamental base of
Quarks,
everything
exactly. Quarks
is based upon.
quarks.
If they find something about quantum mechanics, it could completely throw everything we've known out the window.
Absolutely.
A completely new concept. So
Yeah.
I think you always have to have an element of doubt, not doubt, but know that there's
It is doubt. It is doubt.
Uncertainty.
where the science that you believe could be wrong, and it could be bettered, or there may be a view that we haven't seen. Just have a myopic view of what we can see.
That's a good point of view. That's a good point of view.
I mean, I'd like to sum up by only one thing. The science is always evolving, right? There is no end to science. So this is the area which we don't know about, quantum mechanics, right? A time will come, hopefully, fingers crossed, 100 years or 50 years or whatever.
Hopefully we'll know more about it.
We'll have answers to all that. I mean, look at medicine, the same thing. Draconian times, medicine was really so basic, and look at it now.
I think that's the beauty of humans, is to understand what they see. And there's always that urge to understand
more and more.
Exactly.
What seeks you out. What we know around us.
By telling ourselves that we have the absolute right knowledge or the absolute right morality, we deny ourselves the ability to evolve. That's why I always come into a kind of conflict with the religious people, because they always say, okay, this is the right thing, this is the truth, that's it. And I always say, okay, that might not be the absolute truth. I'm an agnostic myself. I'm not against religion, but I'm against the idea of absolute knowledge.
But I think there's some things
You are. I see what you mean.
I think there are some things that as humans we can be certain of. We can be certain that death exists. We can be certain that I'm conscious.
Yes.
We can certain that me and you are similar.
Yeah.
That's a certainty.
Yes,
You
but the
know that.
definition of
So-
consciousness, it derives from person to person. You know, we
Of course you have different
might
states
not
of
perceive
consciousness.
ourselves in the exact way that we actually exist.
That's fine.
That's my
but
point.
at least you're conscious. I know I can view my arm.
Yeah, in some
that means
way.
You're self-conscious.
In some way.
In yourself. Maybe you view the world differently to me, but I know that at least I can view the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we experience the same world. We may experience it completely differently. Your understanding and your view
Yeah.
is completely
True,
different to mine.
true.
But the point is that we still have certainty that we're not.
That's what makes life interesting. Different views.
That's of
and
course. If
we
we all agreed, then what's the point?
Exactly,
If we come in
what's
here,
the
everyone
point
would
of
go
living?
home and they watch the news, and everyone agrees with the news.
Exactly.
lying to you.
Anyway,
Wouldn't it
I've got to
matter if
go.
someone was lying?
Thank you very much for coming.
Dan Hooper, check him out. Dark Matter. Okay.
Thank you very much. See you, mate. Have a nice day. Oh, I haven't seen you in ages, bro.
You have to have core foundation.
Don't like this camera.
Why not? It has to be an absolute truth. There's no absolute truth. Everyone
What's all the stuff about height?
Oh, the flat earth theorists wrote this stuff on the floor. I'm debating the flat earth theorists now.
Are you going to speak? Why not?
These things.
What?
These things.
The cameras.
Cameras. Fast cameras.
No, I like the cameras because that means that more people will be able to see them being debunked.
The
difference is you're a true believer, whereas I'm a sports hunter. Right, we're doing different things.
True believer.
You really believe it's important to debunk these people. I don't give a fuck. I'm here for sport. And it's not sport when people take pictures of you killing an elephant. You kill a dolphin. It might be fun, you might like killing dolphins. Someone takes a photo of it, they put it on Facebook, they say, you killed a dolphin, and now I'm the dolphin killer.
You underestimate my benevolence. I don't do this only to bring good to people. I do this also to have fun.
Yeah,
I do this also because it brings some kind of joy to me, and also I can learn more by
I do
doing
it
this.
playing fun. And these cameras just wreck the whole thing.
No, the cameras are the more fun thing about it.
They don't allow you to be flexible. I'm probably getting filmed right now.
Probably. But I'd like to ask some more questions here. I'd like to ask about. I'm kind of talking about flat Earth here with these guys, but they don't really want to answer questions. Okay, so they believe that. Obviously it's not me. I'm against it. But they believe that there is no gravity. There is density. The density is the thing. Because I'm denser than the air around me. When I jump, I come back down because I'm dense. Which doesn't really, it explains how things attract each other. But their definition of density is basically very similar to gravity. It's very, very similar. Because I told them, okay, if density, let's imagine for a second that density is the thing. Fine. Now imagine that the Earth is really round. There is no gravity, but the Earth is spherical, right? Yes. Wouldn't the density of the Earth pull down all the water around it so it wraps around it and doesn't just fall off? It would, and they have no answer for it because it debunks their basic ideals. Because they say that all water. They show me this bottle of water. Oh, look at the water! Look at the water. If density works as they say it works, then it would not change anything.
Okay, what about sea currents? What about sea currents and air currents? What's the argument?
Bro, answer me just one question.
Yes.
How do we see the shadow of Earth on the moon?
That's a good question, because oftentimes, because I've been watching the moon really closely for about 3 years now, oftentimes I'll find the sun is up and the moon is up with a half a shadow of the Earth on it. So if the sun is up and the moon is up, how is it possible that the Earth is throwing a shadow onto the moon?
So the sun is up, the moon is up, and the Earth is throwing a shadow on the moon.
Well, no, I'm saying there's a shadow on the moon. You're saying, contending, as mainstream science will, that's caused by the sun being occluded by the Earth, showing a shadow onto the moon. But I'm saying I've been observing both the sun and the moon well high in the sky. I've got it on my YouTube channel, Trinity 4, well high in the sky at the same time, but it's a half a moon, a quarter moon, And so it's like, well, tell me what else is happening to cause that shadow. And then the guys will come with some other explanation beyond that. But I'm glad you asked me that question, because truthfully, it cannot be the Earth throwing that on the moon, because both of them in the sky at the same time, oftentimes through the cycle of the month.
Okay,
Fact,
so
fact.
what is throwing? You know the cycles of the moon, the full moon, the crescent, the half moon, right? How do we get those cycles?
Well, okay, I'll give you a theory if you like, but I'm not going to say this is how it happens. I'll give you a theory, right? My theory is that it's an electromagnetic portal or device that we're seeing, and as it turns through the course of a 28-day cycle, it kind of occludes itself or covers itself and then exposes itself fully. That's just a theory. So for me, just so you know,
made that device? Humans?
No. Well, the creator created the device as a light. Now the moonlight can be provably shown to be cold, and the shadow of the moonlight warm, which is the complete opposite to the sun. So if they were a reflection one from the other, then you would have a similar effect. But actually what we find is the moon is a cold light, and I think it's an electromagnetic effect. And as it gets closer to the sun, it disappears. And for no one, for 10 hours either side of a new moon, has ever seen this black, dark rock that should be moving in front of the sun for a day. But during that period, no human has ever witnessed the moon. If it was a rock, we should still be able to make it out. We can apparently see rocks going in front of suns 20 light years away. We can see that, but 1 hour just here, right in our neighborhood, oh no, we can't see that for 20 hours either side, or 10 hours either side of the new moon. That's a matter of scientific fact.
I hope you.
So it's not a rock,
see.
and rocks, my friends, do not float in space. They just fall down, unless you got magic gravity that allows you to do anything you like.
Yeah, but you believe in a dome-like structure that protects the Earth from meteors.
I try not to believe in that. I mean,
that's what I read about flat Earth theories.
Okay, it's what you read.
It seems like you guys have a very different ideology to each other. You don't follow the same flat Earth theory. You have many flat Earth theories.
It's not an ideology. It isn't like there isn't one person who will say, I know exactly how it works.
Well, then it's not as certain as you think.
Unlike Brian Cox and all these other modern scientists that say, this is how it works. Well, this is how it works based on CGI photographs, or CGI, not even photographs, and this is how it works because it's so big you can't see it, even though water's level.
Consistency with like studies, right?
Yeah, there's consistency between different studies. Of course, there are some theories, some studies that sometimes contradict each other. Like, for example, Einstein's theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. But that's just because quantum mechanics is something almost transcendent to humans. We still have very little perception how quantum mechanics actually works. Not that you accept it, obviously. I mean, you probably don't accept quantum mechanics and how it works. But it means, science isn't always consistent with each other. But it admits it. They admit that they are learning and they are getting new, better knowledge. Now, what you guys are saying kind of ticks me off, because you say that you have the right knowledge, you have the absolute right answers, and yet you guys are.
No, I said it's a theory. Let me say that again. What I say is that we have a theory on.
So wait. The Earth being flat is not certain. It's a theory.
No. The belief that water will cling to the outside of a shape because there's a force called gravity within it. That's a theory like a religion. Now I'm going to say
consistent evidence that you have to prove this.
What?
How that's the case? Like how a structure.
Yeah, he's showing the bottle. That's his evidence. But look, bro.
My evidence of water being level is
yeah, man. But look, if you believe in density and not gravity, that's the problem with you guys. Because density is not very different from gravity. Density pulls big objects together, right? The Earth is very dense. The pancake of the Earth is very dense, so it pulls us back to it, right?
I don't accept that.
So,
you're
how do we come back to
what I believe? You've done the problem is a lot of people, they do about 5 minutes of research into flat Earth. They get told a whole lot of bullshit by the people who are creating the.
Okay, then tell me, how does density work? Why is it when I jump, I come back down?
Are you in? Well, it depends on the medium you're in. Are you in air or water?
Right now.
So the medium you're in is much less dense than you are. So you will come down at a speed that's predictable. Yes. So I don't have a problem with that. That's density. But if I attach 20 helium balloons to you, perhaps you'd come down a little bit more slowly.
Okay.
If I attach 50 helium balloons to you, you might even take off against that gravity. So just because you go up and down in a medium says that now I've got to allow for that medium to operate underneath me as well, like under a ball. I'm sorry, that's the belief system.
Okay, fair enough. I got your point. But why doesn't the air that is so less denser than me just fly off? Why doesn't it fly off and there is no air at all?
Okay,
there's a vacuum.
Because like a layer cake, everything has its own density. So here we are, we've got the heavier gases, And as you go higher, you get up to noble gases, very thin gases, your heliums and hydrogen and so on. So that's what we could probably measure, is that we got thicker air here. If you go up a high mountain, you don't have much oxygen, so you start to struggle, right? We all know that. The higher you go, the thinner the air becomes. The deeper you go in the ocean, the thicker the water becomes, the more viscous the water becomes. And only certain creatures can live at those deep depths because of the intense pressure. So it's simply a higher pressure as you go down, and we can't go down more than 10 miles, that's as far as we've ever drilled. And it's a thinner pressure as you go up, and it gets so thin that no rocketry works.
Okay, but
once you get up there, because nothing's to push against.
Do you understand that the ideology you're saying here is self-contradictory? Because if you're saying that, the denser air keeps closer to denser objects like me and the Earth and things that are really dense, that the denser air keeps closer, that automatically means that they have a certain amount of attraction between each other. The denser objects attract each other. Okay. Do they?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see
by what you're saying. That's the conclusion.
Well, what
the
we can do is
conclusion.
we can put oil and water and gas and all these different things into a cylinder, and what you will see is they will all settle at their own natural level. So if you and I stand here, but if we turn this into water, our natural level would drop down to our buoyancy point. So it's simply a matter of density and buoyancy. I don't have. There is no difficulty that we have with setting gravity aside. Maybe a small amount of electrostatic charge between things. So while a leaf might be pulled to in one direction, or a dust to your TV, there's an electrostatic charge. I accept that. I might walk through a room and pull little bits of dust to me, but that doesn't make me a gravitron. That doesn't make me a force of gravity.
Do you agree that light has no mass?
I think that light is a wave, actually, and it's been propagated inside the ether.
It is a wave.
That this is an ether that we live in. The ether was banished by Einstein and his fellows, but the ether is the soup that we live in. Everything grows in an electromagnetic soup. So the dendritic shapes that you see on the trees are the same as they are in your lungs, the same they are in the roots of the tree. So it's all growing into this ether, which is an energy field that we can tap from, but that we nurture ourselves in. So that's where we live, in an etheric field.
Wait. You didn't actually answer
Did not get
the
that.
question.
Sorry, I lost my.
But look, man, the light. Do you believe the light has mass or not? Does it not have mass?
No, I don't think. Well, I don't think.
Then how can I have light on me? How can light fall on me if it has no mass? Because if it has no mass, it has no density. If it has no density, it should never make contact with me, because I have density and the air has density and everything around me has more density than the light.
Does sound have density? Does sound have weight?
Does sound have weight?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have
sound have mass.
No, but the sound is different to the light.
Let me tell you that if the police had to bring a sound weapon here, you would feel that
but you're comparing
like
things
it
that
was
are not very
you,
comparable.
Like
because
if someone was
the
hitting you in the
light
face.
is energy,
Sound
and the sound
and
is
light
is
a wave, but it's
not
the effect
energy.
that you feel. You simply are decoding a feeling of that. I don't have a problem with that. So it's not. That's why light can come through this bottle, slow down, and then speed up again, because it's not actually being propelled. It's moving through the ether at a certain rate, and it's transmitted through the ether as a wave. Now I know this is completely against molecular atomic science that we've all been indoctrinated with, but I'm saying when I had a DMT experience 4 years ago, I had my pineal gland ripped open and I saw everything in waveform. And in that moment, I believed in God. In that moment, I realized that the particle physics that I've been taught is bullshit. That when God spoke the word into this reality into existence, He was using a vibration, a sound, and everything is simply propagated in this ether. So waves of light and waves of sound are moving infinitely from one place to another. That's where I'm at. I know it's obviously against the atomic science. I'm saying
it is against atomic science, and it's basically against all kinds of knowledge.
But because atomic science again is built on CGI, and my textbook had little drawings of
here's the atomic
nucleus,
science. It's
here's
all
the proton,
science.
here's the electron. Yes, but they're all working off a machine went bleep. Now I know that the answer is right, because a machine went bleep. We're no longer trusting our senses. So I'm saying everything is electromagnetic.
Because our senses are not perfect. Our senses are very flawed. And that's why I was telling you about color. The colors we see are not all the colors that exist, because we have 3 color senses that perceive red, green and blue. The butterflies have 6 color senses. They can perceive twice the amount of colors that we can perceive. They see the world in a completely different way, with completely different colors.
But you killed his wave. His light has a mass. When I said has sound got a mass, and you said no, because the bottom line is that you can feel a sound on you. You can feel it. physically feel the sound.
No, but sound is different from light. It's not the same kind of.
Let me tell you, like, a bright light in my eyes would hurt me physically, but a soft light would not. But that doesn't mean that it's actual atoms of light smashing me in the face. That's bullshit, guys. You guys have been
light
taught
is
a lot
not
of
atoms. Light is not atoms.
And atom bombs,
Nobody
by the way,
says
are
that.
fakery. You know, the whole Bay of Pigs thing. That's all been.
So
designed
Hiroshima and
to-
Nagasaki were a ruse. They didn't nuke them.
Yes. Why? If that were true, listen. If that were true, right? That would be a nuclear wasteland today. But they started rebuilding.
There
those
is a
cities.
nuclear wasteland in Chernobyl.
Hold on.
in Ukraine.
Let me finish. You tell me that, and I'm giving you the refutation. I used to believe that Nagasaki was the little boy or the big boy or whatever those bombs were called. I used to believe in the A-bomb and all of that crap, right? But let me tell you that those were paper towns. They were made with wood and paper, and they were firebombed just like Tokyo. The damage looks identical to Tokyo, and they started building those cities after the war, and they are beautiful cities today. And if it were true that there was some sort of nuclear holocaust, that 1,000 years of diode and iode and psyop, and all psyop, then they would not have continued building those cities directly after the war. Now, let me tell you, they hit them with a lot of firebombs. A lot of people died in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but did they use an atomic bomb? Is it possible that they actually faked the whole atomic bomb and then just said, no, those were nukes? Go and look at Nagasaki. Go and look at Hiroshima. Those cities are beautiful, modern cities today. It should be full of people that are walking around without heads and arms, according to what I was taught in science class. And Chernobyl, people are going there on tour. All right. So the idea that
They're
this
not
stuff,
going to the center.
Okay, whatever. Look, the thing is that
reactor.
I'm giving you a little yellow box that says
The
if it
reactor
goes
has
there
been covered,
and,
you
and
know?
it goes dig, 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 dig.
There is a
The
sarcophagus
guy who
covering the
invented
reactor.
The guy who invented the isotopes, the plutonium rods, he used to play with them in a swimming pool. There's footage of the guy playing with them in a swimming pool. The whole ruse about this stuff being killer for you and cancer and all this sort of stuff, that's just been made up by Hollywood, a whole lot of Hollywood movies, and now we really believe that nukes are a real hazard to us, when in fact we're paying money over money for a free energy that Tesla invented found over 100 years ago.
Okay, I think we're coming to the main point of the discussion about flat Earth, which is, do you really believe that all the peoples on Earth, all the peoples with their different ideologies, with their, who hate each other, who are at war with each other, that all of the governments, all of the people just cooperate like that and don't slip even one little bit about this big conspiracy about flat Earth? They never say a word about it. They just, they fight each other, but at the same time they cooperate. Do you really believe in that?
Firstly, I don't think that many people would need to know about the flat Earth, for one. Secondly, yes, I think that they cooperate because if you're a government, you operate as a government under license. The governments of the world are working on borders drawn by who? That government, those people in that country, or by some third force?
By war.
Who funds
the one
the wars?
who wins
Who funds
draws
the
the borders.
All the same bankers have been funding all the wars that we
The bankers
know
are
of.
not omnipotent.
No, they work for the Vatican, or they work for the royals, or they work for whoever's
Bro,
controlling
the Vatican
this
isn't
game.
eternal. The Vatican didn't always exist.
All I'm
Unless
saying,
you
you
also reject all of history that we have. Do you?
Most of.
There we go.
I'm sorry
Do you
to
think
say.
that all around history the bankers have ruled the world?
No, but I'm just saying that it's possible, as Rothschild himself said, that I don't care who's in power. If you give me the power to print the money, I don't care who's in power because I can control the game. And that's how the monopoly game is played. The banker is the one who calls the shots. He gets to draw the lines on the ground and say, yes, the Saud family, you can rule this place with an iron fist. Mugabe, you can rule that place if you want to. The white South Africans, you can rule this place until we say we got some black people
there is
that are
no
going to rule
banker
it.
in Monopoly. It's the game has rules,
Okay, well, you
and all
asked
the
me my
players
question.
obey
That's
the
my
rules.
truth.
But
My
there is
truth
no
is
actual
that-
banker. That's just
Okay.
rules
Well,
the players follow, and that's actually a good comparison because that's how the world works. There are rules that the powerful people impose on the less powerful people, and you either follow those rules or you fight against power. That's how it always works.
Who are those powerful people?
There are different kinds of powerful people. It's the winners, the ones who win, the ones who
So
conquer.
who are they?
Who are they?
Who are they?
Okay.
In this world today, who are the winners?
In this world today, who are the people in actual power? I had this conversation a while ago, and it's about the war between the nation state and the corporate organizations. That was the talk that I had with some other guys. Now, the thing is that throughout human history, we usually have been ruled by nation states.
According to the history you believe.
Fair enough. According to the history that I believe, that 99.9% of other people on Earth believe, and that is reasonable to believe in, but let's say that I believe,
So let me stop you
how
there,
the
because
world
the
has
history
been
that
ruled.
I was taught in South Africa growing up is completely different to the history that's been taught
Okay,
in South
what
Africa
did they
today.
teach you? What did
so,
they teach you?
Well, I
Go.
mean, the whole apartheid thing.
Yeah.
I went to a school that was just 2 miles away from a British concentration camp in the Boer War, and they never bothered to teach me about that. It's an interesting
obviously.
thing. So no, because if you ask,
Well,
a
would they
Polish
tell
man-
the students,
if you
"Oh,
ask a-
guys, we're killing people over here. Come and see. Come and see."
Listen, if you ask someone in the Middle East for a version of the history, I can assure you it'll be different to the version of the Middle East that
obviously.
Middle Eastern history that the British are being taught.
Obviously.
So, but there is a coordinating hand behind that, and I think we can agree on that. That there is
I don't
some
think we can
that
agree
there
on
is some cabal, and I don't say it's the bankers. The banking is just a tool. Banking is used, finance is used because humans are greedy, and so they simply use that to get the right kind of people in the right sort of positions of power to continue this business of control. Yes, they might once have used war and soldiers and so on. They might once have used religion. Yes, they might have done that, but they lost control of that. So they use other mechanisms to keep people.
Okay, bro.
Capitalism versus communism. That was the war that I went to. Be the capitalism, be communism. Now what I'm saying, that's gone away. But when the
Thank God
papers
for
tell
that.
us, when the papers tell us, we can either build a wall in between America and Mexico, or we can hate the Europeans and have
So
Brexit
what?
and
Walls
do all
are
of this
nothing
sort of
new.
thing.
Look,
Listen,
I am
that's
bewildered.
the
Honestly, I'm
problem.
kind of
That's what I'm saying,
bewildered
that
of how much, I don't support Trump, but Trump is getting so much hate for building a wall on the border. What the fuck? People have been doing that throughout history. Ukrainians were planning on building a wall with Russia before the Russians invaded us and started fucking shit up. So walls do sometimes work. The Chinese built the Great Wall of China, which held out the Mongols for generations.
Are you sure they really built that? But let me get back to the point about Putin.
Or did they?
About Trump.
Or
Let me
did they?
get to the point about Trump.
Go ahead.
Trump is designed to be so bad that when he implodes what he's doing, the poor American voters are going to vote for anyone, even if it's someone
Seems
as
to be pretty
foul
popular
as,
with the
Hillary
Americans
Clinton.
still at this point.
No, let me tell you that it's about creating that febrile
Trump's
mind
popularity is bigger
where
than
people are
Obama's
willing to
now.
go to war, right? This is what you want. You want people angry enough that they're going to go to war. You know.
It's okay. We'll come back to it
You
later.
folks know that 9/11 was not done by 19 Muslims, right?
Okay, 9/11 is
You know that.
is a controversial
Well,
story.
controversial, my heck. If the American and the British and the Israeli governments colluded to pull off 9/11, then it's important that you revisit everything that you
want
know.
me to say that it's impossible? It's not impossible. It is possible that the Americans
Not
pulled
only
off
possible,
9/11
absolutely
themselves.
impossible for 19,
It is a good possibility.
19 men who
But
can't
listen,
fly
bro,
planes.
Listen,
to
just
pull that
because
off.
let's imagine for a second that 9/11 was a completely inside job. Let's imagine that it's completely true. You're right about that.
No,
It changes
don't imagine.
nothing.
It is a
It
fact.
changes
What,
nothing.
that all the governments are not complaining?
Bro, the government are not cooperating. Look, man, listen.
You're believing the propaganda that you're being given, madam. Okay. Let me say, for 10 years I believed the 9/11 story.
Have you seen? I believe that. I don't believe that it was made up. Have you seen when it says it's
There's no historical basis.
Yeah. But do you believe it'd be possible for me to? Would it be possible for me to write something like that ahead of time? If I was going to stage, allow yourself a moment that I was going to stage something and blame it on a group of people. Would it not be essential that I create a legend behind those people? That yes, we can see them being here, we can see them going for flight training, we can see them writing, and so often they always write these exactly. So wait. Do you know that their passports survived the explosion and were found 2 days later? So those explosions in 9/11, the towers came down in 11 seconds, but their passports survived. Can you?
Never heard of that.
Madam, the point is that it went through the explosion, their passport survived the explosion.
No, but he does have a point that it's not certain, absolutely 100%. It's way too convenient that the Americans suffered that attack and then immediately invaded the Middle East. It's very, very convenient. I find it pretty,
It's the same as I'm
but
sorry
still,
to say,
I'm not going to say anything because I'm not certain about it. It's just that it's possible that it is true.
Have you looked
But
into
listen,
Building 7? No, let me finish. As I always
It doesn't matter.
Building
We
7.
can't come to
No,
a
it does matter. Let me tell you why it matters. Let me tell you, if your government have lied to you about everything, ma'am, then it absolutely matters. And Building 7 came down in 6.5 seconds. It was a 50-story steel frame building and has. Now you're allowing a new story. You're going to create the story just to keep your lie going, madam. Let me tell you that there was a fire. According to the formal report, there was no bombs, no plane struck it. There was a fire in the building. Stop making up stories to suit your narrative, madam. There was no fire alarming. There was no.
Have you seen a photograph
There was.
of the hijackers in flight training?
Oh my God.
Okay, let me just give you.
No, have you seen a plane go into the Pentagon? No plane hit the Pentagon.
Have you seen the video that came out 4 years after 9/11 talking about why it happened?
9/11 is a
Guys,
propaganda.
let's not talk about 9/11. Let's okay.
But 9/11.
Let's not do 9/11.
No,
This
I've
is
looked
not
at the whole lot again, darling.
Cut, guys. Not 9/11. Over. Come on, guys. Come on.
Why?
Let's not
Why?
deviate too
because
much.
9/11 is being blamed on the Muslims, and the Muslims feel like they're under attack.
Are you saying
by
that
the
the
Western
Muslims
world?
are completely innocent? Nobody is innocent, man.
Exactly, because you want to agree with me that all governments are in the same. They're all governments. I was in a war in 1987 in which all governments
The
that were
governments are
involved
not
were in the
cooperating.
same room making decisions. And it's a matter of fact that they were in a hotel room in Luanda deciding what battles were going to happen. And this is the war that I was in. I wrote a book about it. It's called Battle on the Lomba in 1987. I was in combat against Russian tanks and Russian planes. Matter of fact. And I know that I was lied to get into war. I know that the CIA were alongside of me in that war. And I know that my government, the South African government, were lying to their people.
Calm down. Let's
I'm not angry at all.
No more 9/11, guys, please.
But I have a little time
no
for the
more
ignorant.
9/11.
The ignorant. The fact is that there is a conspiracy. There is a conspiracy going on. The evidence is.
We also need other people to look at.
Madam, those buildings fell down with. They had to be blown down. They could not have fallen by those planes.
Okay,
that's a
I'll
fact.
give one last
So it's
argument
not the
about
Muslims.
flat earth theory,
So all
just
the
so I can
governments are in
finish
bed
this
together.
bullshit.
Yes.
Okay,
Because
one last argument.
if Saddam Hussein or that other guy,
fuck Saddam
no,
Hussein.
if he wasn't in bed with them, he would have come out and said it wasn't the Muslims that did 9/11.
Stop running
All right,
away
what's
from
your
the
question?
conversation.
What's your question?
My argument is, if you truly believe that all the governments in the world have all of us stupid peasants in their grasp,
Yes.
and it's impossible for us to fight against them because they have all this power of manipulation, of sheer intellect to manipulate us
Yes.
as much as we want, as much as they want.
Yes.
Then, bro, I'm sorry, but we are nothing to them. We will never be able to overthrow them because they are so much superior than us. If they truly got this stuff right, if all of this conspiracy theories about flat Earth is truly right, then we have zero chance of beating them. We will never be able to even stand a chance. So
Especially
there is
if
no
we never
point.
wake up to it. If we don't wake up to it, of course
Bro,
not.
if it's
but once
true,
you wake
if
up to
it's
it, you
true,
realize that the
if
power
it
is in
true,
you. That we do have the power, and that the system has used mind control
if we
to
follow
make you
what
give
you're
it away
saying, we are a
and go
bunch
and
of
vote for a
idiots.
government
We are a
that will
bunch of
go to war
lobotomized
against the
retards.
Muslims
If what
when the
you're saying
Muslims
is
did not
true.
do 9/11.
Stop talking about the fucking Muslims, man. Muslims have nothing to do with this conversation.
They have, of course they do.
Stop running from the
The whole
conversation.
world is split by
What do
riven
the
by
Muslims
religion.
have to do with this?
Because we're all under the same caliphate of control. Absolutely.
Fuck me, what caliphate, man? What are you talking about?
I'm telling you that the bankers.
Bro, do you
the
understand
system
that
of
if
control-
there are people in power, as you say, they're looking at you right now on the camera and they're fucking laughing their asses off.
Yeah, because
look at this guy, he's ridiculing
because
himself.
they've done such a good job at brainwashing the masses.
No, man, it's because you're not. You can't
That's
convince
why.
us of anything. You don't have
guys,
evidence.
Listen, guys, water will not form on the outside of a shape. It will always form level.
Mate,
And
your
that's the
idea
bottom
of
line.
density.
That's
If
the
the,
bottom
imagine,
line.
okay,
Water
imagine,
is
imagine
level.
that the Earth.
Water is level.
When it's cold.
Does it settle on your pipes,
Yeah,
and then
it
once it gets a lot, it'll kind of drip off and then form a pool beneath that? I don't need to be pointing out the obvious here, but the Suez Canal is 100 miles long and provably level end to end.
What do you even want to do? Do you want to do a big rebellion against the governments?
No, I want people to find their divinity.
Libération.
The truth is that it's us. That all the science, all the religions, and all of that, it's trying to rob the divinity of the Creator and you having a single relationship with itself.
Why do you care? Are you not living a good life?
I'm here to help my brothers. You know, like the story of Christ and Muhammad, those stories about a good man who went out with nothing and tried to stand against the money changers and against the
especially
religious
Muhammad,
people.
who waged war on
let me
other
tell
tribes.
you, we won't even go there, but I'm telling you that Muhammad had a good message about being a good human being, and Christ had a good message about being a good human being, and we never know
Christ is
that.
ambiguous,
Well, we
but-
never know that. While we think we're just some lucky strike evolutionary bubble that came out of the water 50 billion years ago and turned into monkeys and then black men, and then here we are.
And then black man?
Here
What the
we
fuck are you talking about, man?
Well, out of Africa. You've
What
not
the
heard of
fuck
black
are you
man?
talking about?
Well, you've heard that black man
Bro,
out of
fuck-
Africa theory.
fuck you, man.
Well, that's mainstream science.
What the hell is this? So wait, monkeys turned into black men and then black men turned into white
That's
men. What the
evolution. Haven't you learned evolution?
What are you talking about?
That's your current evolution science.
What are you saying, man? That's not evolution.
No, that's bullshit, isn't it? It's bullshit. But that's what they teach. That's what they teach today.
Okay, wait.
Out of Africa theory is very popular.
I don't think you know evolution, because there was Australopithecus, then there was Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, and Homo sapiens sapiens. When Homo sapiens sapiens emerged, after Homo sapiens sapiens, he diverged into different races, which are the Orientals, the Asians, the blacks, the whites, blah, 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 which in the beginning were not the same as they are now, because the races we have now are not exactly the same we had long ago. That's why I don't come into arguments, oh, who was this ancient race? It was nobody. It wasn't a race that exists now. It was just, maybe it was closer to this race than to the other, but it wasn't a specific race we have nowadays, because races change.
Do you believe that a virgin called Mary gave birth to a boy called Jesus?
No.
So why should I believe the shit you've just given me?
Because we have proof of it.
Is all. There's no proof. There is no missing
Where is
link.
the proof
There's
of
no
Mary
missing
giving
link.
birth
And
to
this
Jesus?
idea of millions and billions of years, because there's a layer, and I say, oh, that's a million years, that's another million years, because an isotope has decayed at a certain rate. That's all made up. That's all mind control. That's all virgin birth. All right? Your science is virgin birth. Water is level, my friends. Water is level. All right, virgins do not give birth, and water will not form to the outside and conform to the outside of a moving shape. Never. Find it in science.
Bro, again.
Find it in science and bring it to me.
Last time.
Otherwise, all you're doing is rhetoric
if you really believe that we're being manipulated to this extent,
yes, I
then
do.
we have zero chance to defeat the people
I
in
absolutely
power.
know it. I am
we
50
have
years
zero
old.
chance of doing it.
I'm 50 years old. And at
because
46,
if we
I
follow
believe
what you're
you
saying,
do.
we are brain dead idiots.
Religious belief. Yes, well, no, I don't want to say you putting words in my mouth. I think that they're very intelligent people who answered A in class and did very, very well. This is not about
then
saying...
we are fucked.
No, you're not.
Fucked, man.
We are the creator, and in time, we're going to work that out.
What does it matter? Okay, if you believe in God as the Christian God, why the fuck do you care if we overthrow the people in power or not?
I don't want to overthrow
because when you die, you will go to paradise.
I want to help
Why do you care about it?
I don't want to overthrow anybody. Okay, the people in power.
Yeah, you do. You're saying we have to rebel against them.
No, I didn't say rebel. I didn't say rebel. Let me just finish this point. I didn't say overthrow. It's about finding yourself.
Because he thinks that there is a big conspiracy.
Can I just say, yeah, forget conspiracies. It's very clear from our perception of what we can see, just looking around us, yeah, that there are a lot of people living in poverty and there are a lot of people living in luxury, and there is actually something wrong with this society and the way that it's run, yeah?
Okay.
So when someone steps forward with an idea that can help someone on an individual basis,
what's the idea?
Why is there always this stand against it from people like yourself?
Show me the idea. What's the idea?
The idea, yeah, to be clear, right, is that you can understand yourself and the universe and everything around you a bit more, where you can take yourself out of the system and the way in which it holds you, and you can make your life better, and each and every person can learn these things and help themselves to become better, so that the system is not oppressing them. It's not overthrowing the government. It's not what you think it is. It's not storming the Royal Palace or storming Parliament. It's not that. It's each and every person empowering themselves to become better, so that those systems actually don't oppress them any further. That's overthrowing oppression, and there's nothing wrong with that. We should each be out here striving for each other to each get a single piece of that. Whether you've got luxury or whether you've got poverty, each person deserves to be empowered. Why are we standing against people who are trying to empower
each person will never be empowered. Listen, guys, you can clap all.
That's spot on. And the system is absolutely
let me just address the sister here. Let me just address her real quick, because that's not how power works throughout history. Humans can't all live with exactly the same quality of life. It's just not what happened throughout history, bro. And you might not believe history, but look, that's what happened.
Whether we believe in history or we don't believe in history, we can make the future different. We could do something that makes the future different.
But if we can't cancel the logic of the world.
No. Forget cancelling the logic.
You can improve it, but you can't completely deny it.
Stands for something for yourself.
As I said earlier,
within yourself, you can stand for something and you can make change. No change was ever made, by a system. It was made by individuals having an idea, and passing that idea on to other people to help other people to live better in their lives as well. That's how history was.
Give me a line. Flat Earth theory.
No, because the thing is, no.
Okay, what would happen if the majority of people... Okay, guys, I will give you all one of my pet
why that
theories.
is important, yeah,
Why I think
is
that flat Earth
because
theory
once you're
exists.
talking to someone
I
about
think
the flat Earth,
it actually is kind of a conspiracy theory, but not nearly as big as they seem show it to be. I think
we've got to take these
people in power are trying to see how far this stupid ignorance can go, how far the denial of facts and the denial of knowledge can lead them. Because I think what some people are eager to see is if they can make a bunch of brain dead idiots that follow any kind of order. That's what I think why we have flat Earth theory. They're trying to see how far it can go.
I think it's a lot of people with a lot of distrust. Why haven't they taken you out?
But yeah, let me just stay for
Okay, you were going to say
the vegans still there.
When you say take me out, what do you mean?
Okay, I'll go to you next. I'll go to you next, bro.
Content over everything. From your melody. Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
I think she should stay where she is. She's a risk to bring. That's it.
Where exactly should she stay?
She should stay exactly where she is at the moment, in the camp.
In the camp.
Kurds or whatever.
Fair enough.
I don't want her because she's a security risk to this country.
She's a security risk to this country.
She's a security risk. No, she's a security risk. She's
I want her in my country. She's a threat to my country.
Well, then she
She's
doesn't
a
go
threat to everybody.
I didn't say she should go
I know a way of resolving it, that you will be happy and you'll be happy. Put her into jail immediately.
No.